Guys, I've told my horror story before with S Corp clients, and how do you know what reasonable comp is? My horror story is when they went after that CPA who was a friend of mine for $125,000, arguing that he knew and that he knew better and that he should have made sure his clients took reasonable comp. I'm a huge fan of RC reports. RC reports, it's about $1,400 a year. We're charging the S corps that come to us under audit $750 a piece. We'll probably make between $10,000 and $20,000 with RC reports. But if you have S corp or C corp clients, they have to each year get a report, and the report is as simple as possible. RC Reports has a huge database of businesses. It will give you a report that you can rely on. And so far, to date, when we produce that report, not a single auditor has challenged it. The critical thing right now is for your clients to get that report to support the number they're taking on the return that you're taking on that return that you're signing. Best way to do it, RC Reports. Go check it out. Okay, you can find them. It's trn.rcreports.com. Again, trn.rcreports.com. Go there, you'll save $100. It will change your practice, create an annuity stream for you, and bulletproof your clients' corporate returns. The Tax Rep podcast is now proudly partnered with Nice Job, the experts in reputation marketing. Reviews are so important for attracting new clients. Before Nice Job, I would ask people to leave reviews, but they would usually forget, and I didn't have a way to stay on top and remember to follow up with them. That's where Nice Job comes in. Their smart follow-up campaign recognizes who hasn't left a review yet and automatically sends carefully timed reminders that can increase your chances of getting a review by 300%. I tried Nice Job for Tax Rep, and it's been a game changer. We added 33 five-star reviews in our first month, and our Google business profile is like a magnet for new customers. You can try Nice Job for free for 14 days and get 50% off your first 3 months by visiting nicejob.grsm.io/taxrep. nicejob.grsm.io/taxrep. I'm going to put a link in the description of the podcast. Try it. It will be a game changer for your business as well. How do I manage my tax rep practice? How do I get transcripts? How do I track what is going on with the IRS with every single one of my client cases? How do we complete the offer forms, the powers of attorney, everything? We use Tax Help software. Tax Help software is the cornerstone of our practice. We use it for its intelligent ordering. Every single night, it will update the transcripts on our clients, so we will see things happen long before those letters even go to the mail. We can then, react. We can let the client know. We can get all the transcripts we need to determine what our client's best options are, when is the debt going to expire, and we can fill in all of the IRS forms and get them filed accurately, the analysis done correctly. If you're interested in giving it a test, go to taxhelpsoftware.com, use promo code TAXREPTRIAL, all one word, all caps. You'll get a free 2-week trial. Again, that's taxhelpsoftware.com, TAXREPTRIAL, all caps, for a free 2-week trial. If you love it and want to buy it, use TAXREP10, capital, all caps, TAXREP10, TAXREP10, all caps, one word. You'll save 10% on your purchase. It will be the engine that runs your tax rep practice, just like it's what we use for ours. Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this week's Tax Rep Network podcast. Very special guest this week. Joining me is Chris Mannina. Chris is a certified public accountant with almost 20 years of experience in the accounting and finance industry. He works primarily with mid-market businesses in a variety of industries, including professional services, technology, government contracting, and nonprofits. Chris is a former president of Mannina Incorporated and director with Citron Cooperman Advisors, where he provided fractional and interim CFO and advisory services. His areas of expertise include reporting, compliance, strategic planning, FP&A, monitoring, and internal controls. And Chris, I'm excited to have you on because one of the real issues I see um, from in my own clients, but I got to be honest, even in my tax rep members, is understanding the importance of reporting and cash flow and projecting. Because how many of us, and I'm guilty of it, you get started and I'm just going to work. I'll just work and work and work and work harder and harder. And you asked me a few years ago where I was. I don't know. I can write a report about what I've done so far. I never sat and planned and thought.
Right.
And in my book about building $1 million practice, I actually open with a true story where a friend of mine who's a consultant said, "Okay, time out. You're out of control. What is the game plan?" There is none. Okay,
Right.
let's figure out where we want to go, and we can engineer backwards. And so I'm really interested in your take working with clients, but also even your own practice. The financial or the lack of financial information. But for the and most of our audience are accountants. We have some
Sure.
lawyers, some business people. What do you think is the most important financial information that a business owner, all of our members listening included, that the business owner really needs to focus on?
Yeah. And by the way, thanks for having me on today. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to the conversation. But I think we get stuck in the trap of, as you said, looking backwards. What were my financials last quarter? Where were we? But what business owners need to focus on is where we're going. So 30, 60, 90 days going forward in a cash flow projection, and then probably at least a year-long projection on not only an accrual basis, but a cash flow forecast. That's really where you're going to see your benefit is doing some really good cash forecasting. I think that allows you to build a good model in your head because, to be perfectly honest, a lot of business owners aren't as strong on the finance side. If you're talking to anyone who's not necessarily in it on a day-to-day basis, they just need a 30,000-foot view framework to understand what's going on. And so you start doing let's say you do a weekly 13-week cash flow forecast. It's roughly a quarter. You do it in an iterative way. So every week you update it, you see where you're off, you see where you're right, you start to refine your assumptions about your business. You might have some basic assumptions, but really until you see the sort of forecast actual as it's happening in real time, you really hone in on where you're off. Where's my cash coming in? Where's my cash going out? And it allows you to do a lot more forecasting. It allows you to do get a lot more visibility and make better decisions going forward. I mean, you say, I'm sure we're all busy on a day-to-day basis. You're running your business, you're making decisions, but what data points are you relying on to say that this is a good business decision? Having that framework really helps you understand, because whether it talks about, pricing strategy or understanding your cost structure and how it's an endless array of decisions you got to make on a day-to-day basis. And, I think just having that forward-looking forecast and forward-looking focus really helps inform decisions.
Well, from my perspective, what's so important and what I've been urging the listeners to do, what I did is, look, I want to generate $1 million. Mm-hmm. Now, what are the average fees and kind of where am I now? And once you sort of go through that, now I see, okay, this is the gap I need to close. Sure. This is how much I can do. How much do I need to do? And how am I going to get there? So now I started looking at where am I spending my day, and begin to realize there are things I'm doing that it's not moving the needle. We're not moving the ball forward. How often do you have difficulty when you meet with a business owner kind of changing that mindset, or do you find that they're kind of frustrated when they meet you and so they're open to it?
I think it depends on why they're coming to us. We see a lot of people come to us because their books are in terrible shape and they need help cleaning things up, getting the historical right. So if that's the piece, then I think that there's a level of frustration. We need to get everything cleaned up, get it fixed, get it right, so we can start looking forward. But where I see, a lot of business owners, the conversations and their mindset coming in is, how do we optimize? How do we improve this process? If it's a frustration because things aren't working, fine, we'll get that cleaned up. But once we get that base level, it's, how do we optimize? How do we improve? Where are we wasting energy or cost or, effort? How do we fix the business? At least from a financial side, that's where we're coming in. What are the best practices, low hanging fruit to really move the needle forward? And that's the conversation where when we can get there, when we're past fixing up the historical, that's where we can really start to see some ROI.
And so explain the importance of having financial projections. I mean, to my mind, first of all, where are we going?
Right.
Where are we? And again, from my perspective, it was what is working, what's not.
Right.
But anything else you see?
Yeah, I mean, it really is everything holistic with your business, but even the basics of just like tax planning. You get to this time of year, if you're not talking to your accountant and really getting a framework of what your tax position is going to be at the end of the year, you get to January 1 and you can't go back and make different decisions. So, do you really? What's that?
It's a post-mortem at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you want to be able to make those decisions ahead of time and really be strategic about it? Or do you want to see what happens after the fact and just cope with it? So that's one really good, effective place to start is, it's really going to help your tax planning. It's going to help your capital allocations. Where do you want to, if you have excess capital, where do you want to invest in the business? Do you want to invest in sales and marketing? Do you want to invest in infrastructure because you've grown so much? It really gives you an ability to look at where you are and where you could be going forward, do a lot of scenario modeling. We have 3, 4, 5 different scenarios. What might this look like going forward? If we do X, if we do Y, if we do Z. It allows you a lot of flexibility to sort of see where you're going and maybe drive the car, which direction do you want to go going forward? It allows a lot more, I think, flexibility for a business owner to make good decisions instead of be very reactive, becoming much more proactive.
And so for the business owners listening, the lesson here is, so often they think of their accountant as sort of an afterthought.
Right.
They do the tax return.
Sure.
Your accountant can actually be like your biggest asset if you use them properly. Like you said, meeting with them this time of year, because we can do planning, we can make decisions and financial moves that will impact the tax and the bottom line between now and the end of the year. Otherwise, if you wait till after the year, it's too late. And for the accountants listening to this is a business opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Sit
down with clients, explain this, and at some point start focusing on the clients you can really help and shed the ones that, I think what most accountants, CPAs, and EAs are learning is it either you can't or it sucks to make a living pounding out tax returns.
Mm-hmm.
It's advisory, it's the planning, and frankly, that's really where your skill set should be. You have specialized knowledge. So often because we do IRS rep, we have clients that come in and they'll start telling me they have a good business. Well, if you had a good business, you wouldn't be in my office.
Right.
And in talking to them, something is wrong. If you can't pay the payroll tax, if you can't pay the sales tax, there is something wrong. And I've had more than once, I've gotten them to get a CPA, an EA, a consultant, somebody to come in.
Right.
And I had clients, they're friends of mine. They manufacture mattresses. They got a big deal with one of the huge chains that you've heard of. They were losing money on every mattress that went out the door.
That's interesting.
Every one of them. So they're doing volume, but because of the pricing and the cost of delivery, they were actually losing money. So they now have gone to being extremely profitable in the last 4 years. And they fired the national chain, who, by the way, told them they've never been fired before. Like they've never heard of, and they can't make money at the margins that they were going to get. They couldn't make money. But,
I think that's where we have a lot of opportunity as accountants to come and offer value, because, we were talking about, if you're doing it as a post-mortem, you're just providing a compliance product. At that point, the numbers are what they are. And you're just filling out the forms and getting filing and compliance, and it's just a compliance product at that point. But where you really offer value is where you help move the needle for the business owner and help them make better decisions like that. So if you can help them with pricing strategy or cost structure to help them go from if they're selling mattresses at a loss, that's a quick opportunity to create value. When you can come in and start looking at the business and spending more time doing analysis and less time doing, processing of data. I think that's where accountants get trapped, is they end up doing a lot more processing and a lot less analysis. And so when you can be more proactive and get ahead of things and start looking forward, now you're doing the analysis. And by the time the compliance work is needing to be done, you already know where it's going to end up. It's just getting it done after the fact, but you've really added a lot of value to your clients.
So what would you say is important to develop these sort of financial projections? Obviously updated books.
Right. So that's really where I'd say that most people end up falling down, is because they have a really ineffective and inefficient financial accounting team or process. So it's that sort of controller level work where you got to have all the historical stuff buttoned up and tight. And you got to have your processes optimized, I would say. And where I'd go with that is probably automate. Nowadays, when it comes to financial processes, you can automate almost everything, and you can really pull the manual energy, the manual labor hours of data entry or transaction processing or whatever out of the individual and put it in a software, whether it be like a bill.com for your, bill pay, for example, is just one thing. And so, when you have that controller skill set, that's somebody who's going to manage your historical stuff, so it's up to date, timely, and accurate. So you get to the first of the month. We're October 31st. If you have a small business and your accountant can get you, your month end books closed by the 5th, you can have projections done for the rest of the quarter by the 10th. But if you're a business owner and you're not getting your historical stuff done until the 25th, then you're 30 days out and you're just getting projections going forward. Like, it's just you're never going to catch up. So I think having that base core level of controller skill set, somebody to manage that process, that's really where you can start to leverage that, build on that, and go forward. So you got to have the blocking and tackling, the basics.
Well, and so often accountants will come in afterward, within a month, and they'll do the books. So you're right, you're already a month behind.
Right.
It really is, and I agree with you today, especially you can download stuff, bring it into the software. It should be as close to real time as possible. So in terms of the business owners sourcing this,
right,
better to have someone in-house, outsource. What have you seen?
I think that it's a different answer for every business, but it's when your business reaches a certain level of complexity and probably volume, that you probably need to bring somebody in-house. I would say as you start out, smaller businesses should look to outsource, because you can get a really strong skill set. Like, for example, with our firm, you hire us, you get 150 professionals. And so, even if I'm your point person, any issue that comes up, I have a massive team that I can leverage if there's a question I'm not familiar with. So you get that level of skill set if you outsource in for a fraction of the cost. You're not going to have to pay a full-time salary. You're not going to have to pay benefits, the time and energy of training, as well as you as a business owner. It might not be your skill set to assess their technical skills. So it's really hard to hire the right people if you don't know if they have the right skills. So for a variety of reasons, for small businesses, it can be really cost efficient, and you get a really good bang for your buck to outsource, just even if it's somebody to come in on a monthly basis, do the books or do some quick projections, things like that. Even if you're really small and you just want somebody to come in and just review some stuff on a monthly basis, you can for a very low cost end up getting a really good technical skill set in-house.
last thing I want to ask you about is, and again, both for business owners, but also for the accountants listening, is there anything, I don't want to say quick fix, but are there obvious things that you think of when you first come in that are sort of like those easy wins, right? Simple things that can just be done out of the gate.
Yeah, I mean, I think that again, every business is different, so your starting point might be a little bit different. But I think the focus I'd say to jump in is look at your processes and where are all your hours going? Where's your energy going? And see what we can automate. Automation nowadays is a really quick opportunity to if you have an accountant spending X number of hours, if you can take 50% of those hours and automate the process, you can reallocate those energies to analysis and that forward-looking function. And nowadays there's no reason not to. You're sort of falling behind if you're not doing that. Like, for example, I mentioned Bill.com. If you're writing manual checks and walking them down to the mailbox every day, just the level of inefficiency is going to pull you back from taking steps forward. I also think, you should look at your compliance calendar and your reporting calendar and sort of walk through everything and see where the breakdowns are, especially reporting. Like if you're not getting your books done by the 5th or the 10th of the following month, what are the roadblocks? Really do an assessment, where you are today versus where you want to be, and sort of figure out what the gap analysis is. What steps do you need to take to really get to best practices? And there's a lot of tools you can figure out online, or you want to book a consultation with somebody to talk you through where some of those areas are. There's a lot of opportunity to really improve with just a quick risk assessment and process assessment.
Yeah, and for the business owners listening to this, it's a mind shift from the accountant being just the compliance person at the end, to understanding that they are worth their weight in gold. If you can get information in real time, make real business decisions, and push the bottom line, I think my experience has been within a short period of time, you will be getting quite a return on what you spend on your accounting, your consultant, whoever it is, your controller who's assisting you. Because even here at the firm, and we're tax lawyers,
right?
We sit monthly and go through, where are we? We have our cash flow that we're constantly rolling forward. Where are we? What are we looking at? Because the one thing we don't like is surprises.
Sure.
All right. I don't like surprises. And
yeah.
I told our new controller, we hired him a while. He's terrific. I said, the one thing I don't ever want is a surprise. All right.
Yeah, I mean, and especially as you get towards year end, you want to know what your collections are looking. If you got to go chase down receivables, what are the billings going to look like in September, October, because you're probably not going to collect December invoices. November invoices might get out, and what's the timing of collection. You got to do all that, have all those figures sort of figured out, so that there's good data to make decisions. Because you don't want to get to the end of the year and say, oh, well, what happened here? What happened here? And you're on December 31st trying to run down and figure out how to make a change, or how to collect some cash, or if you got to cut a check to get your net income down a little bit because you want to, you decide you have an investment you want to make, whatever it may be.
Right.
Yeah.
So Chris, for the folks listening who want to get a hold of you, how's best for them to track you down?
Sure. I mean, I would say you're able to connect with us at our website on kwccpa.com. You can certainly find me on LinkedIn as well. Those are probably the two quickest and easiest ways to find us.
Right. Yeah. And what I'll do is I'll put the links in the description below so people can reach out to you. And no, I suspect you're going to be very busy this time of year.
Yeah, I mean, it gets busy for us. We're doing a lot of talking with clients right now to sort of do that planning phase, and then as we get after year end, then we're off to the races.
Right.
So it's an exciting time.
Well, it is, and there's tremendous opportunity everywhere. Every time they make a shift, Corporate Transparency Act, there are going to be some accountants that are like, oh my God, really? And there are going to be some accountants that are like, cha-ching.
Yeah, everything becomes an opportunity if you want it to be. Right. There's always something new to learn, and once you have that skill set and knowledge base, you can pass that forward, value add.
Right. No, I agree. Listen, thank you for taking the time. I appreciate you being here. And I'll put the links below. You can reach out, connect with Chris, and get your stuff under control, and watch how quickly you can actually take your practice or your business to the next level. So, Chris, Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for listening, and see you next week on the podcast.
All right. Thank you so much for having me.